Fire alarm systems work. I was requested to do this by multiple people, including some people at school, so they can show this to their students. So I thought, you know what, I'll finally do it. So it's going to be a little simple 5 to 10 minute video on how fire alarm systems work. So first off, you have your main fire alarm control panel. It's locked. This one, for example, like mine, is the Flex Series MS5UD knockoff. You have all of your information here. It says, all the hookups, all the DACs, which contact fire departments, but we'll get to that later. So basically the main part about the fire alarm control panels, you have your interface, you have your system all normal, which means there's no fire alarms going off, there's no smoke detected, and none of these wires have been tripped, causing any troubles. Second off, you have the batteries of the fire alarm control panel. This keeps the fire alarm control panel running for an additional 12 to 24 hours. These ones need to be recharged, and since I just powered the system back on after 3 or 4 months of sitting because of the cold, it's always good to recharge the batteries. This one I have, this is a piezo which beeps, basically makes a beeping sound. This is your DAC phone lines which contact the fire department and police, basically the dispatchers. This is your ANN bus or AN bus that connects to your fire alarm annunciator, which we will not go over, but I will bring to you in future videos because it's more of a complex kind of video. This is an updater switch. You can update the firmware. This firmware, for example, is from 2008, so I haven't updated it. I don't have the tools to. And this is your AC power. I tried to plug this thing back in after, sitting, and I realized it wasn't working. So I had to go rewire this entire thing, and it even stumped me. So this basically is your positive, negative, and ground. So it connects your panel to your 120 volt system plug over here. So basically when you run out of power on this, these batteries kick in on the batteries continued. Up here you have your output, NACS, notification appliances. So far I have 3 hooked up. One over there by the door, one outside, one over there along the side wall, which we'll go over later, and one outside, which is weatherproof. Then these are your indicating device circuits. So this is your smoke detectors, your pull stations, and like I said, your smoke detectors, which is just that one up here. The reason I have it unplugged over the winter is because that actually freezes and it becomes inoperable. And then you have your other pull station, which I have over there by the door. So basically, if a fire alarm is tripped, there's always electricity going through these wires. Is what I understand. And when this electricity stops and it signals the panel that there's an error or a code tripping off, and it trips it into whatever system or whatever alarm I have set up to be. So I have this one set up to be an active hazard alert, although it says fire. So if there's a tornado or something, I just do it for fun. If it blinks active hazard alert, but we'll go over that later. This is your smoke detector and all that other good stuff. And it just basically strips that circuit so it notifies the panel, and it sends it out through these. These wires do not have electricity going through them unless the alarm is activated. Even if this is activated, if there's no output going to the notification appliances, these wires will not have electricity going through them. So technically, people always think if you touch the fire alarm on the walls, it'll set off the fire alarm, which is one of the biggest fakes I've heard, unless there's some kind of new fire alarm out there. So now let's go over the indicating device circuits or indicating notification appliances. So first you have this is your most standard kind of pull station here. This is what you see in the halls, you see these in buildings, you see them basically anywhere. There's a fire alarm system set up. So basically what happens is if you pull this, it sends off a signal to the panel, which trips the circuit, which notifies the fire alarm. So this one, for example, like I told you earlier, is set up as an active hazard alert. So if I pull this, use the activated button right here, and it sets off the panel to a supervisory but not an alarm. So in a sense, you could hook it up to an alarm in the future, and it has a flash yellow. But I don't have that set up because that's a little bit more money to program and all that other stuff. But since this wire is still tripped, if I tried to reset the panel, then it would give me the supervisory back after a few seconds. So you have to reset the line for the fire alarm, to go off. It'll do the same thing with fire alarms as well, and that's just painful for your ears. So let's go ahead and cancel that. So what you have to do with this, you have to get your keys, and you just have to reset it. It's pretty simple. All this head of the buildings, basically the leaders of the buildings, directors, all that other stuff, fire marshals, and the fire department have these keys. These panels are also locked with the key that you have to use to access the panel. Now let's go over the actual fire alarm part, which is a bit more of an interesting subject to cover. So here is our demonstration alarm right here. We can go outside, look at the other one, but this is the one I'm going to take apart so we can look at. So here is your fire alarm pull station, the one that you use to activate the alarm, to set off the fire alarm and all that other jazz. This one is the actual alarm, the notification appliance. So this is actually the one that yells, screeches, and flashes at you when there's a fire. So with this one, it's basically just a screw-in design. You basically screw it to tighten it, but once it's unloosened, you have all the wiring right there, and you can change the volume, you can change the decibels. I mean, not the decibels, the candela. This one I set at 75 candela because it's in the garage, and that's about average for code in a garage building. So I'll just tighten that after the video so it doesn't come off the wall. This is what most busy buildings have, like schools and churches. They're called double action pull stations, so you don't actually trip it. So you actually have to lift up, then pull down for the fire alarm to activate. This one does not require a key. It actually requires a screwdriver for the fire alarm to be activated. So let's say for this one, for an example, we're going to go ahead and trigger this alarm, which is going to cut off that circuit to activate the notification appliances there, across the room, and outside. So we go ahead and trigger this fire alarm without scaring the neighbors off. You're going to activate the circuit. Walk outside here. This one's flashing. This one's a bit louder and it's a bit more brighter. 175 candela. These are all synchronized on the same circuit, so you don't get seizures, because you can't get seizures if they're all the same synchronization. So we have to go ahead. We can't turn it off. You have to go back to the panel to turn off the alarm. Acknowledge to stop the piezo from beeping, and then just go ahead and click alarm silent. That'll stop the alarms from sounding and just will activate the strobes. And then one's flashing outside as well. As you see, I didn't really wire this very well. It's a bit more money to wire, and I don't really have the budget to do that. So that's another thing I plan on doing in the future. So once you have this silence, you can go ahead and get a screwdriver and go reset the actual pull station. So now we have the pull station opened with the screwdriver on top. All we have to do, open this up, flip this little switch down. As you can see, the other pull station had the exact same kind of mechanism. It just wasn't very much of a toggle switch. If you push this back in, snap it pretty tight, and then you're good to go on that. So now we just have to walk back over to the panel to make sure everything else, all the other fire alarms have been activated, including smoke detectors, have reset. Smoke detectors take a bit longer to reset since you have to get all the smoke out of the system themselves. So now once that's done, just click reset. Resets the system, basically gets electricity flowing again. And once you're good with that, system all normal, everything's shut up. So now the smoke detectors, since it is winter and it is frozen, the little mechanism inside is frozen until it thaws. We cannot actually test the smoke detector unless we do a system, kind of drill. And speaking of drills, you can do that by pressing the little drill button right here. It'll focus. There we go. So now that we have that all figured out, that's basically the main part of a fire alarm system. What trips it off, but sets all the alarms off, and basically the exact basic, this is plain basics. You got the batteries, don't want to trip that. You got the control panel, you got the fire alarm, you got the notification appliances, you got the smoke detector, and you got the alarms. Bigger systems have extenders where you can actually plug in more power to extend the system, because these wires can only bring so much electricity and current so far. Along major buildings, that's almost impossible to do. Also, another thing on fire alarms, if the panel disconnects from the battery, it'll send the panel into a trouble. So here's just an example of a trouble for you guys. It'll give you no battery trouble. And troubles are a bit more pain in the neck to deal with because they always beep and you can't get them to shut up. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and comment, subscribe, and like as usual. And I'll get back to you guys and as always, try to answer your questions in the comments. Alright, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.